Hello, and welcome to another iClone 7 Academy tutorial, part 3. We're going to refine some curves and remove the keys from the legs and use a brand new tool called the Reach Effectors. This tool will be used to prevent the foot crashing on the ground and to make it easier to edit the curves in the curve editor, since we will be dealing with your curves. So let's get to it. We will start with frame 1 here. And the first thing we're going to do here, we are going to remove all the keys for the legs of this character. To do so, I'm going to press the Control key and click on the left leg track, and then using the marquee, I'm going to select all the keys that I want to remove and press Delete. You will notice that now if I play the animation, I'm going to press the space bars now. He does this nice little dance. No more walking because we'll remove all the keys for the legs. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and apply the Reach Effectors. Now I'm going to press the A key to get a good view from the side here. And I am going to go to the Animation tab in the Modify, under Modify. And I'm going to go Edit Reach Target. And now I'm going to select Control-click both legs. And click on Reach Effector. This will create some dummy props that would allow you to manipulate the character using IK, but without actually having to use the motion layer editor, which makes the workflow a lot simpler. So now we can go ahead and close this. I'm going to press A again and get us ready to start working. So the first thing you're going to notice in the scene editor here is that when we do the create the Reach Effectors, iClone will automatically create dummies for all the IK nodes, and that is the hip, the feet, the hands, and the neck. However, the only ones that are truly active are just the one for the feet, because those were the ones that were selected when we actually create them. And even though iClone does create the dummy props for those effectors, they're actually not active. So if I select the arm, for example, you will notice that if I move, it does not move the arm. So do not use those. Just use the one that you actually had selected and create effector. So let's go ahead and turn them all off except for the ones for the feet. Okay. So, and you will notice that those, if we move those are totally active. So those work. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in our image, backdrop image, the same one we used before. And I'm going to line them up over here to the graphic here on the background, like so. Okay, and remember, we have most of the keys except the ones for the feet, so that's the only ones that we really need to move around. So let's go ahead and let's leave the scene editor open so that we can select the props, right foot and left foot. So I'm going to select the right foot and I'm going to start posing, and I'm going to be doing this over and over. So after the first few poses, I'm going to fast forward the video so that you don't have to see the whole process, because it will take some time and it's just very repetitive. Nothing changes. One thing you do have to remember is, if you don't want to come here all the time to select left foot, right foot to do the move and rotation, you can actually press the Q key before you select the effectors. Because if you try to select right now, for example, if I want to select the right foot, what's going to happen, and you're in move mode, what's going to happen is it's going to select the full body. It's going to snap out of the body. But if you press Q first and then select the effector, then it's just going to select that prop only, the effector only. That comes really handy. So right now what I'm doing is I am moving and rotating the prop. Now if I want to move if I want to move the right foot, I'm going to press Q first, select select the Reach Effector, and then move it. Now what I want to do here is I want to actually make the legs to extend a little bit more, like you have it over here. So let's go ahead and do so right now. So basically all I'm doing here is moving this a little bit backwards, and now I'm going to press Q again, and now the move key W, and I'm going to stretch this forward. Remember, don't stretch it too much because it's going to pop otherwise. Now make sure that this is touching the ground. I'm going to press the I'm going to select the character first, and I'm going to press A so we can zoom in into the character now a little bit better from the side. And now I'm going to press Q again and select my effectors and pose this character a little bit better by pressing W and the E key. Now this is all repetitive work. Like I said, I'm just going to do this and show you the workflow first, and then I'm going to fast forward this. Okay, make sure it's touching the floor there. So that's good. So that is our first pose, which is the contact pose. That looks pretty good right there as it is. Next, we are going to move to the middle of the animation, and we are going to create a key for the inverse of the contact pose, which is this here, this pose right here. So I'm going to select the effector, and now I'm going to move him and rotate it. So let's make sure we do the same thing here and rotate it like this, like that. And now I'm going to select the left foot. It's easier to select it here because one is being blocked by the other, and we're going to go ahead and rotate the leg in such a way that we have this pose over here. So let's go ahead and extend the leg a little bit more like that, like this. And again, Q. Remember to select Q first before you do your next move. Otherwise, you're going to select the character, and that's not what you want right now. So make sure we're making contact in the ground there. We're making some nice contact there, and we have a nice reach. So right now basically we have 1 and 2. Okay, so now all we have to do is go to the first key. I'm going to right click copy and go to frame 80 here, and I'm going to paste. Now we don't have to do this symmetrically because we are copying the exact same pose. Remember this, the first one and the last on the cycle, on the walk cycle, are exactly the same. So you end up on the same, so you can do the full cycle of the walk. So that's what we're doing right now. So now I'm going to select the key for the first key here. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste. And remember, it doesn't have to be a mirror, a paste symmetrically. It's just a paste. So basically now we have our walk cycle just using the reach effectors, and now I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this whole part where I'm going to fine tune and do the down and the up and the passing poses in order to get this cycle looking good. Okay, I will slow it down back again when we're talking about refining it using the curve editor. So here we go. Okay, so here we have our legs animated, and we're going to fine tune the rest with the curves. And as you notice, I haven't gone to the motion layer editor at all now. Next, what we're going to do is let's go ahead and go to the curve editor, and we're going to do a frame so you can see the keyframes here. So we can do a little bit of cleanup over here in order to get things a little bit smoother. But before we deal with the legs, let's go ahead and deal with the up and down motion of the character and smooth that out first. So then we'll deal with the foot contact if it goes below the ground. So what I'm going to do here is, and let's go ahead and play the animation. I notice here we have a few extra keys that we really do not need. So I am going to go ahead, first I'm going to go ahead and just make this a little bit bigger for us to see. what's going on. So we have more of the graph of the curve editor displaying the curves. I am going to go ahead and take these keys out of here because we really do not need those, and I am going to start doing a little bit of curve editing as we do the motion here, so that we have a little bit of exaggeration on the moves of the up and down. So let's play that out. So we're going a little bit higher now. That looks good. Let's make sure we deal with this guy over here as well, like so. There you go. That looks much smoother, much nicer. Next, let's go ahead and make sure we have all our we're going to do what is called follow through with the arms. Now, in order to select bones in here, you have this nice little icon over here that allows you to bring up the UI. And now I'm going to select the forearm here. And notice that when I select the forearm, it immediately selects the axis for the rotations of these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and frame this up. And I think right now what I want to deal with is just the follow through on the x-axis for the rotation. So let's go ahead and frame that. Okay, so we can see it better. Remove the excess keys. Let's try to keep this as clean as possible. So I'm just going to select and delete these guys. So we have this nice curve going on here. So now that we have this cleaner, I'm going to go ahead and use my zoom vertically right now. So we have a little more space, and then we just use the pan to center that a little bit better. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my move, and I'm going to select this key over here. And what I want this to happen is, as my right forearm keep moving upwards a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and select this handle over here and have the motion stretch out a little bit more there. And then once we get past our mirror pose for the contact, I want the same action to happen to the arm as he moves backwards. We want it to linger a little bit longer backwards. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then for this key, I want this key to match up in a downward angle like this, so it creates a nice loop. Something along these lines. So let's go ahead and exaggerate this a little bit more so it becomes more clear. See, as we move up like that, right now we go, we need to adjust this key as well just to match us up to that. So it goes like that in a loop. So see how the hand lingers a little bit longer. That's called follow through. Now let's do the same thing. We can do the same thing here. Let's exaggerate this by extending the curves a little bit more like that. There we go. That looks nice. Let's do that with the left forearm again also. And let's play it. And there you go. I mean, let's go ahead and again, you can exaggerate this as much as you want. It's up to you how much you want to push this follow-through effect. It all depends how cartoony you want this action to happen. So there you go. Look at that. That looks really, really nice. Okay, so we got that going. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to tweak the legs now. So we are going to fast forward this part for the fine tuning, and then we'll slow down back up again for controlling the spine a little bit better, and then we'll go ahead and do a collect clip. Okay, so let's do this. Okay. So now we smooth out the motion of the legs here. And this is what we have so far. So that looks pretty good. The next thing we're going to do is adjust the spine. So now we have our full-on walking cycle, and all we got to do now is we're going to go for a collect clip. Okay, so let's go ahead and select the body, and we are going to do a collect clip. So we got to make sure that we go all the way from the beginning, not up to frame 79. I am going to right click, add motion to library, and this is going into our custom motions. So I'm gonna click here and say type walk cycle and save. Okay, and I'm gonna bring in my character again. So I'm gonna go to custom characters here real quick, select my custom character. Alright, and now I'm going to go ahead and load that motion. So let's go to animation, custom, motion, and we have walk cycle. So let's go ahead and drag it onto our character. Now let's go to our animation workspace, Control 3. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select the clip. And now that we are in this mode, I can select a looping mode here. So I can go ahead and just clip dragging. I'm going to zoom out. Now that we have this walk cycle, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you another cool feature that is in 7.1. I am going to create a quick primitive, just a box, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to just go to my modify type. I'm going to make it slightly transparent. So I'm going to go to the opacity so we can see inside what's going on. Select my character and going to right click and link to the box. And then I'm going to select my box and get ready for this, guys. Alright, so I'm going to go 360. I'm going to press the E key over here. I'm going to press the E key, and I want you to take a look at this over here. Look at the rotation as I rotate along the Z axis 360 degrees. Now let's go to the beginning of the animation. Look at that. You can now do a constant rotation, and now let's go to the curve editor here. Let's open it up. So right click, curve editor, object transform, and let's take a look at rotation here and do a frame. And now we're going to select this curve, make the tangents linear. So now we can have full-on rotations without having to keyframe every 90 degrees like we used to have to do before in previous iClone versions. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and make the box invisible and select my character here, and maybe even extend the loop a little bit more too, so it reaches the full 360 here. There we go, something like that. And there you go. We bake the clip, we have a full working walking cycle and loopable, and now we can also do an unlimited numbers of rotations without having to do multiple keys in between to make those rotations work properly. Alright guys, so this will conclude our walking cycle tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care and good night.